Hey everyone, and welcome to tonight's In the Know with Cat Bobino podcast, where my extra special guest is just going to be little old me. I am going to share this podcast online. I am going to put it on my invite that I sent out. So I'm hoping that some of you will see it and join in. If you have any questions, feel free to send those questions. Oh, okay, Brianna, I see you. First one to join. I hope to see you. Oh, hey, DJ, see you too. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about who I am, what I'm doing, the podcast, why I do the podcast, why this is important to me, and what I would like to get out of this. So let me double check, make sure that I can put this link into the event so everybody can join. Okay, I see you, Joseph. Hey, DJ, I see you. Uh-oh. Oh, because I have the video up on my phone. I was hearing the backlash of it. Okay, hey, Aaron, I need you to be able to share this on the event page. For some reason, I can't do it from my phone, but that's okay. So we're going to work on that. But anywho, I am Kat Bobino. I have been working in doing media for quite some time. In the Know with Kat Bobino came around because when I moved back to Oakland, California about 6 years ago, I got a lot of people asking what I did. And when I said I was a scientist, a lot of people said I did not look like a scientist. Ooh, what's that say? Love the blind of me with science. Hey, I love it. Thank you, DJ. Hey, Damien, I see you. Hey, James, I see you too. And so I definitely want to share with you why I am doing In the Know with Kat Bobino. The reason for this show is that there's a lot of people who do look like me in science, technology, engineering, and math. And unfortunately, this is not the image we usually see when we look at something about STEM on television. So when I would see people say, you don't look like a scientist, or are you sure, or is there some other thing that you do? I'm like, no, I'm a science nerd. I love science. I've been doing science majority of my life. Oh, hey, Sean, I see you have joined as well. Also, one of the best things that I love when it comes to science, technology, engineering, and math is being able to share that with the people around me. So I first did In the Know with Kat Bobino as a television show. Hey, Michael, I see you. I did In the Know with Kat Bobino as a television show where I did it in San Francisco. Every week, I was able to interview diverse people in science, technology, engineering, and math. And some of my guests were world famous world famous meteorologists, as well as the guy who did the math in Hidden Figures. He was a great guy. His name was Dr. Rudy Horn. Unfortunately, he passed away not too long after doing my show, but he was such an amazing person. And to be able to tell his story was something that I was just truly grateful for. Hey, Brianna, you sound the sexiest version of the scientist. Okay, I see that. Hey, Kelda. But anywho, I wanted to make sure that our voices are heard. I want to make sure our image is seen. When you see someone of color, I don't want you to think about someone who just does sports or entertainment. I want to make sure that you think of someone who is in engineering, or someone who is in math, or someone who is able to build robots, or someone who is working on HIV or cancer, or someone who is even doing the science of the food that we eat. And when I gave all of those examples, I just want you to realize I know someone in those fields. Like, there are people who are doing those fields today who not only look like me, act like me, but they're from the same areas that I'm from. So if you don't know, I'm from Oakland, California, born and raised. And when I was a young person, one of the things that they saw a lot about Oakland was that it was the hood. There was a lot of gang violence. There was a lot of gun violence. And when I would leave Oakland, they would say, "Oh, you're from Oakland? Do you know Hammer? Or do you know someone who's been in these gang wars, been shot? Or do you know someone who is selling drugs or something of that nature?" Instead of, "What's your education like?" In fact, when I went to undergrad at Stillman College, I was told I do not sound like someone from California. Now, I don't know what we sound like, but I mean, I guess I sounded like I had an education, which is unfortunate. Let me make sure that I am able to share this live video into the actual page. I need to turn it down. Uh-oh, I don't want you guys to hear that. Let me copy link. Boom. All right, let me go into, here we go. Give me 1 second. Here is the link so everyone can see it. And I want everyone to be able to join in and ask questions. So, again, my name is Kat Bobino. This is In the Know with Kat Bobino. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what I like about science. My interest in science came when I was a little kid, and I loved watching Bill Nye the Science Guy. I loved watching 3-2-1 Blast Off. What else was there? There were some other science shows. If you remember some of those science shows from the 80s, let me know, but there were some. Hey, Steve, I see you. But yes, I was into all of these shows, and it didn't even dawn on me that it was a show with someone who didn't look like me. In fact, all I wanted to do, especially on Bill Nye the Science Guy, was be one of the kids that was able to do the science projects with him. That was one of my favorite things when it came to Bill Nye the Science Guy. He was great, but the kids who were able to do hands-on experiments with him was something that I absolutely adored. So I always wanted to be one of those students. And as I got older, I used to read Ranger Rick magazine. I got all the books on animal biology, and it made me realize that I had an affinity for animals. And so I went towards that direction. And when you have a love for animals and you're growing up in Oakland, California, or maybe even other areas, they tell you to be a veterinarian. So I thought I was going to be a veterinarian. I applied to UC Davis. Even though I got in, I ended up going to Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, because I had a full academic scholarship. And as the youngest of 4 children whose parents were saying, yes, we all need to go to college, I did not want to be that one person who did not take the opportunity where opportunity came. Now, I had an amazing time at Stillman College, so I'm going to shout it out. I met a whole lot of great friends that I am still friends with to this day. And so because of that, I realized though that maybe I didn't want to be a veterinarian, and maybe it was more the research side that I was interested in. So I did research on Burmese pythons and diamondback water snakes, and we did an inverted sleeve technique, which we would take their intestines and see how much nutrients they would absorb. So, which you may not know, I don't know how many people like snakes. I do, obviously, but the Burmese python ate about once every 30 days, whereas the diamondback water snake ate every day, kind of like us. So if you were to look at their intestines, you would see they have something called microvilli, or to break that down, micro meaning small, villi, finger projections. So it looked like little finger projections that's in your intestines. Hey, Michael, SC baby, I see it. Okay, so anyway, back to my story. There's these finger-like projections that's in our small intestines and large intestines, but mostly in the small intestine. And the reason why is that's where our nutrient uptake is. So all of our food that we eat, once it bypasses the stomach, it goes into our small intestine. And all the food we eat, bad or good, the nutrients are taken up there. So in the diamondback water snake, because they ate every day like us, those finger projections were very short. They would kind of stick out a little bit, and it's the surface area on those projections that allows it to absorb food. So it's because the small intestine bends back and forth, and then you got all these little projections, there are a lot more surface area in there than you would normally think of. So the projections would take in the nutrients quickly into the body would use it up. So it only lasts about a day. And again, the snake's hungry the very next day and has to eat. However, the Burmese python, when it would eat, the finger-like projections would be about 3 to 4 times longer, which means 3 to 4 times more surface area. Because of that, they were able to absorb way more nutrients. And it would allow the body to use those nutrients for a longer period of time, meaning they did not have to eat as often, right? So that's a pretty cool thing that I was able to study when I was about 21, my last year at Stillman College before I left Tuscaloosa. And I studied that at University of Alabama through a joint project between Stillman and University of Alabama. So I had opportunity to look at research then. And as I progressed, I moved to Texas. I was able to stay in Texas only about a year before I got an opportunity to go to University of Connecticut. And that was because of Dr. Atkinson, may he rest in peace, and Dr. Washington. Those two were very instrumental in pushing us to do better, to be better. And I have to say that I am very thankful for them being in my lives. And so when Dr. Atkinson passed away about a year ago, that was super heartbroken. Or I was super heartbroken. In fact, I know a lot of my fellow teammates or still schoolmates were just as heartbroken to hear about that. Hey, Juicy, I see you. Thank you for joining in. Also, you guys, if you have any questions or anything you want to hear about, please send them my way. You can send them through Facebook Live, or you can send them to my phone, which is right there. It's probably that over here. And just let me know what you wanted to hear about. But let's keep going. So as I got older, and as I got to learn more and more about science, and as I got to meet so many diverse people in science, technology, engineering, and math, it hurt me when I would come home to Oakland and meet people and tell them that I was a scientist, and they would say I did not look like a scientist. Hey, Benia, thank you for joining. It hurt my feelings, especially people who look like me, who would tell me that I don't look like a scientist. How are you going to tell me what I look like? That's like me coming to a Raider and saying, you don't look like a Raider. You're not big enough to play for the Raiders. Or that's like me going to an accountant and say, you're not nerdy. You don't look like you do math. You don't look like an accountant. Okay, so how are you going to tell people what their profession is just by their outer exterior? See you, girl. So I don't understand. I never understood that. And if the parents are saying, I don't look like a scientist, if the teachers are saying, I don't look like a scientist, then what do students know about science? What do they know about the people who are in engineering or technology or in math? And the thing about it is, they're going to do what they see the adults doing. They're going to believe what the adults are saying. And if the adults are saying we, as people of color, do not look like we belong in science, tech, engineering, math, how can we get mad at the people of non-color who don't include us? So we have to be able to share ourselves, make sure we see ourselves in these fields, and highlight the people who are in the fields. So that was the basis of my television show and the basis of my podcast. The reason why we are going to do Facebook Live during the podcast is because I do want you to see the people who will be on here. You know, I want you to be able to identify with them. I don't care if they're red, white, blue, green, orange. I don't care if they're short, tall. I don't care if they're tattooed. I don't care about any of that. I care about them sharing their knowledge. And I care about you being able to see their knowledge with it. So, hey, Steve, I see he said ignorance is free and a lot of people are taking it home. I have to agree with that. Ignorance is free and intelligence is hard work. So there's a lot of people who just choose to be ignorant. That's unfortunate, but you know, I'm here to hopefully change some of that. I also got a question saying, what's my favorite part of science? That's from James Rockefeller. What's my favorite part of science? My favorite part is the exploration, the part where the unknown meets the known. That's my favorite part of science because there's so many things that we still don't know. One of my favorite animals is the blue whale. The blue whale is currently the largest animal on the planet, whether it's blue blooded or red blooded. The blue whale is the largest animal on our planet. And however, we don't know anything really about it. We barely know where it eats. We barely know anything about breeding, where they go during the winter time. We don't know about the largest animal on our planet. We know more about the surface of the moon than we know about the depths in our water. How crazy is that? And so, I mean, if I ever had the opportunity to be like on one of the research boats or in a helicopter and seeing the blue whale and in its like natural habitat, oh, I'm having heart palpitations even thinking about it. That would be one of my most amazing things in the world to me. Like I would love that. So that is one of my favorite things about the about science is that exploration, unknown, figuring it out, going to the next level, being able to see what we never saw before. I mean, being able to identify different things. Did you know that a lot of the things in science we have is an accident? The reason we have a microwave was someone working at NASA who walked by a something radiating. Oops, excuse me, I'm hitting that. And their chocolate bar melted in their pocket. And they realized, oh, we can use radiation to warm up food. Like that's how we got the microwave. The person, I can't remember his name, but the guy who made penicillin, that was an accident. We get that exploration of the unknown sometimes brings us different things that we may not have even noticed. And so being able to be open-minded to the idea that there is something else out there, or there is something new out there, that there's something undiscovered, is just the mind of a scientist, quite honestly. It's being able to think past the unknown and to explore the unknown. So thank you for that question. I also want to say, shout out Robin, I see you, thank you for joining. But I also want to say that it's not just science, like science, technology, engineering, and math is a mixture of things. It is what we use every day. If you think about it, our computers, our cell phones, the internet, all of that is just a combination of numbers, which is math, that included adding in variations that made it into a technology. And the science behind it is how we're going to get these words from here to there. How you're listening to me right now in Texas and watching me in Texas. That's science, that's technology, and that's engineering, that's math. It's everything that we do. I mean, look at food. Newton's law is just that matter is neither created or destroyed. It's just changed, right? So if you're making bacon, or if you're making eggs, if you're making grits, all you did was add a catalyst, which is heat, and change your matter from one form to another. So when you're cooking, you're doing chemistry, okay? If you are, let's say, driving down the street, have you ever thought about the mechanics of the car that you're in? The engineering behind it, the people who actually sat down one day, many years ago, and said, I'm tired of riding on a horse. I'm tired of being on a buggy. I want to get to where I need to be quick. I don't want my ride stopping to drink water. I don't want my ride to eating some hay. I want to get to where I need to go now without any stopping. That in of itself is just engineering. It's technology. You've seen how it's changed from the original Fords to cars we have today, right? So when people say, I don't understand science, I don't understand technology or engineering or math, I have to tell them, look around you. It's in your everyday life, all day, every day. Everything that you do has science, tech, engineering, and math behind it. So one of the topics that I was asked via email was to talk about bees. Now, if you ever see me around a bee, I probably will get out of its way. I respect the bee. I respect this gangster. I don't want nothing to do with you and what's coming out your back end. But let's talk about the bee for a second. It's one of my favorite insects. I'm not gonna say animals because my favorite is the cheetah, but we can come back to that. But one of my favorite insects is the bee because we wouldn't have so much without it. The bee is our natural pollinator. We need the bee. We need the bee to be out there buzzing around her way and getting the pollen from one plant to the other. Because 9 times out of 10, when you see a bee, it's a female. The only male bees we have are drones. And the only reason drones are ever bred is so that they can mate with the next queen. However, the bees that you see in a hive is the queen and her daughters. And there's only one queen bee. There's only one. And when there's another queen born, she gotta go. She gotta get out that hive, get her own spot, because there is only one queen bee in a hive. And there'll be a couple of worker bees who will go with her, and they will start their own hive. But with the bees, they have to, they're all female. The drones, they cannot be sexually active, and they become worker bees. Now, here's the crazy thing about a bee is as they get older, they become the ones who fly out the furthest. The younger bees are the bees who stay in the hive the longest to take care of the queen because they have longevity. As a bee become older, they realize, okay, you are not going to be around very much longer, so now you get to go out and find the pollen. Because honestly, if you don't come back, it's okay. We got plenty of sisters here who are still going to be able to take care of the queen and be able to take care of the hive. I see you, Steve. But yeah, so never be afraid of a bee. Unless, of course, if you deathly allergic, I can understand why you might not want to get stung, but just respect the bee and the bee won't sting you. Honestly, there are some killer bees who, let's be real, they just got some funky attitudes and they might, just not like you at that point, but we typically don't have those bees in our area in the United States. They're very few and far between. But you mess with the hive, or you mess with the queen bee, oh, you best believe they might be coming for you. These are sisters with attitude, and they are going to attack you. Here's the thing about most bees. They die after they sting you. So honestly, they don't want to sting you. They don't want to risk their lives because you in their way. Honestly, they just kind of want to go around you. That's it. So if you just get out their way, a bee is not going to bother you. Let's see. Hey, Tamara, I see that you joined. Thank you for coming in. Again, this is Kat. We're in and know with Kat Bobino. I want to shout out VJ TV and Where Media Meets. That's where we are hosting this podcast today. We also have in Where Media Meets VJ TV with James Rockefeller III. We also have Pharaoh Films with Pharaoh and History in the Making with Ramses. So I wanted to say thank you to them for allowing me to be here and be able to do my podcast. Now I'm looking for my water. Brianna said, what's the purpose of the wasp? Well, the wasp is not a pollinator. The wasp is not, they're just a different type of insect who have the same coloring as the bee, but they don't have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? The same job, so to speak, as it takes to, thank you, as it takes to being on the planet. Now, wasps are important in their own way. I'm not sure where their importance comes from, and it might be because they are actually killer insects, so they start to kill off other insects. But here's the thing about a wasp. They don't lose their tail. They don't die when they sting you, so they can sting you multiple times. So if you see a wasp, I say get out the way quick. Don't piss it off, okay? Let it live its life on its own. I respect the wasp from a distance, but if you come in my house, you are now in my territory, and now it's a fight. They're like mean bees. They are mean bees. They're like the cousin of them. That's the cousins that will fight you for their little cousins who, who were just like, don't mess with my family, you know. But the thing is, like a bee will kill, I mean, a wasp will kill a bee. But there I have seen where, hey, Anna, I see you, but I have seen where a wasp went into a hive for where bees were, and they thought they was going to get a quick meal. But the bees were able to vibrate. They vibrated their body. And when they did it, they were able to create enough heat to kill the wasp because the bees can actually withstand more heat than the wasp. So they surrounded it after it had killed a bunch of the sisters. They surrounded it and they just started vibrating and basically cooked the wasp from the outside in. So, you know, bees may be smaller, wasps may be their worst cousin, but bees not playing either. You know, they'll get you. Oh, goodness. All right. That made me feel better. But yeah, if you have any more questions, shoot them my way. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to say I don't know. But if I do, ask me a question about an animal. I'm more prone to those than anything like that. So, anywho, let me keep going. When I wanted to do In the Know, I've had some other opportunities when it came to media. So I got the media bug about 6 years ago, but just like 4 years ago, I was able to do a show called Genius with Stephen Hawking. Rest in peace to Mr. Stephen Hawking. Steve said bees are the Crips of the insect world. Okay, all right, I accept that. That's okay, you know. I ain't mad. And then wasps must be the Bloods. I don't know. I'm not going to compare them. I don't want them coming after me. So, you know, y'all pick whatever insects y'all want to be a part of. But yeah, I did a show called Genius with Stephen Hawking, and it was very crazy how it came about. So you never know who's listening to your story. So one of the things when I talk to students is make sure you're able to share your story and make sure you're able to do it with confidence. So I was talking to a young man about what I like to do. I said, I love STEM. I like science, technology, engineering, math. And if I could do anything in that, then I would be great. And I want to do something with media. And about a couple months to a year later, I got a random email from him saying, hey, I got a random email from another country saying that they're going to film a show and it's something about science. Do you think you want to be a part of it? And I said, yeah, that sounds awesome. And he was like, well, I don't know if they're even a real show or real people, but I'm going to share it with you. So, you know, I looked at it. I looked them up. It's Bigger Bang TV. Never heard of them before. It's a British company. And they were saying, all you got to do is fill out this application, tell us about yourself, and then we will see if we want you on there. Oh, speaking of insects, I thought it was an ant. Okay, you got to go. So I I got this opportunity and I filled it out, and I just filled it out on a hope and a prayer. I had no clue who they were, and I decided to just go for the win. Go for it, right? And I had to meet them in, I want to say, San Mateo at a place because they were renting RVs to drive to Nevada. So I just jumped in an RV full of dudes that I did not know and went to Nevada. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. I don't know why I did it, but I did. I was trusting, and I'm glad I did. I had a great opportunity. I met two amazing people who ended up being my co-people on the show. And the basis was, we want you to do science, but we're not going to tell you anything about the science. We're just going to give you clues, right? So we woke up in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m, to make sure we were on this coast at this huge lake in Nevada. And we were told, just look at the horizon and tell us what you see. Or if I was to tell you this, what did you feel like? There was a boat involved. There was a helicopter involved. We had no clue any of this was. And trust me, when you're filming in a helicopter, there's no doors. There's no doors. So you just gotta jump in a helicopter full of cameras with no doors and you hope the seatbelt stays on, which I was gonna tell you, I'm a little afraid of heights, but how often do you get to ride in a helicopter and talk about a horizon? So I did it. I had to pee. I held it with everything in my might because every time I get nervous, I have to pee. I have to pee all the time anyway, but I was super nervous. And so we were able to film that. We were there for, I think it was 5 days, 5 or 7 days, and we went 2 different places and we were able to film. And it wasn't until like months later that I realized that the show was going to be called Genius with Stephen Hawking. Like, I didn't know that Stephen Hawking was going to be the host. And it was just an amazing opportunity. But even though I had to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning and do my own makeup, which I'm okay at, but I did it. And I had braids that were old, so that's why I had a little scarf on, if you ever watched the episode. But even though it was not like the best thing in the world, it was the best thing in the world. I had the most fun. You don't even understand. That was like the bug that bit me. And I realized I wanted to be on camera. Just point me in a direction and tell me it's some science and let me do it. Shoot, that was my thing. So I said, whatever it takes, I'm about to do it. I'm about to do more science, but I don't want to do it alone. I don't want to be that pinnacle up here saying, look at me, I'm smarter than you. Come do what I do or listen to what I have to say. I never wanted to come from that perspective. I wanted to come from the perspective of I'm learning at the same time as you're learning. I get to meet someone at the same time you're meeting them. And I get to do things I've never done before or be able to see people and do projects that I've never done before with people who are in the field who knows about it. Hey, DC, thanks for joining. And this is why I wanted to do In the Know with Kat Bobino, because we are on the same field. We're on the same line where we're learning something new from someone who's a master in their field. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing the podcast. And that's what I want to continue to do. Now, I got a question I didn't want to ignore, and it was, what's my favorite animal and why? My favorite animal is the cheetah. I think I said it just about too long ago, but I will explain why. So when we come to categorizing animals, including us, the acronym that I use to remember it is King Philip crossed over 5 great seas, right? So that's kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species. And so that's how we classify all living things, actually, not just animals, but all living things. So you have the family of Felidae, which is the cat family, right? So all cats fall under this family. Then they start to break off into different genus. The cheetah is its own genus. It's, you know, you have big cats like lions and jaguars who all fit into one or different subgroups. The cheetah is all alone. And it's all alone because there's certain characteristics about the cheetah that no other big cat has. For one, when they run, all 4 feet are off the ground at least twice per stride. Not at least, they are off the ground twice per stride. The only other animal that does that is the horse. No other big cat does it. Only the horse and the cheetah, all 4 feet are off the ground twice per stride. Number 2, they're actually more dog-like. If you were to research them, they have more dog characteristics. Number 3, they do not growl. Not growl, this is the word I'm looking for. They don't roar or anything like that. They actually make a click sound when they're talking to each other or talking to their cubs. It's a click instead of a roar. Their nails do not retract, so it helps them with traction when they're running in the dirt, but they're the only big cat whose nails do not retract. And their tails are long like a rudder, so they're able to use them when they're running and to guide them, help them when they're doing their turns. And then I love a little streak down their nose, and that is just evolution giving them those protective eye streaks that you see football players do under their eyes. It helps with the sun and the glare. So I love the cheetah because the cheetah, although it is a big cat, considered a big cat, is its own separate entity. And I feel that way about me, this cat. I belong in so many groups, but I am my individual person. So I identify with the cheetah. That's why it's my favorite animal. It's been my favorite animal since I was a child. And I've just loved everything about it. Second favorite animal, of course, is the blue whale, but we talked about that earlier. So if you missed it, go back and listen, because I already told you about the blue whale. But anywho, we gonna keep it moving, right? I want to make sure that different people have different perspectives. So let me ask you, when you think of science, technology, engineering, or math, what do you think about? What crosses your mind when you come across these fields? I'm curious. So please hit me up on Facebook Live or send me a text message and let me know. But we shall continue. Now, when it comes to education, I think that education is important. When you get a PhD, that basically means you are a genius. Not just playing. When you get a PhD, that means you have mastered your level of science or education or law or whatever you get your PhD in. That means that you have taken something, especially in science, something so minute and made it yours that you were able to do research project on something that no one else has done before. And I've been asked plenty of times if I want to get a PhD. I'm on the fence. Now, as much as I love science, technology, engineering, math, I'm not a big fan of the research. I like the research, the writing. I'm not a fan of the writing. I'm not a fan of reading like 20 different papers so I can get maybe 2 lines to put into my PhD paper and to prove my point. So I'm kind of on the fence about getting a PhD, but I appreciate and respect all the people who have gotten their PhDs, especially in science, especially in animal science. So I feel like most animals have been researched to the moon. Hey, Tam, I see you. And so finding your niche is hard. Like I said, my favorite animal is the cheetah. When I looked at research projects for PhDs in cheetah, you know what they were looking at? Hair and scat. And scat is poop. Okay, so that's what we got left to research about the cheetah is hair and poop. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I don't want to study that. That's cool. But if the people who are doing it, more power to you. If you have a research project or know someone doing a research project on cheetah that doesn't have to do with scat and poop, poop and hair, then let me know. Now I'll be able to do that. So I'm just saying, I'm not a fan. But when we are doing In the Know with Cat Bobino, I want to make sure that the people who are coming on the show are being able to talk about themselves. And not just in science, not just in their career, but what they like to do for fun. And so I want to tell you what I do for fun. Okay. Hey, Susanna, I see you. What I do for fun, I used to hike. I used to hike with my dog, and I need to go back. I know, because I got some people in here laughing at me. Y'all can't see them on the camera, but they laughing at me, and that's okay. That's cool. But yeah, I used to go hiking with a couple of different groups out here that I kind of miss, and I get mean messages sometimes from them. I used to take my dogs and go out hiking. Hey, I used to go hiking all the time with my little 5-pound Yorkie, and people would think he couldn't make it on like 7 miles, but he outran everyone. Like he'd run forward like a couple feet and then come back. So I think when we do 7 miles, he's doing like 9 miles, from all his running, and he was never get tired. I'm tired, and this fool is not tired, but that's cool. We're not going to even talk about that anymore. But I need to get back. Now, if you have not hiked around the East Bay, you need to. Like, if you're only in the city, you're missing all of the great beauty that is around us. There's so many national parks. There's so many places you can go. You can go hiking. You can go to the beach. You can go to the snow. You can go to the desert. That's the best thing about being in the East Bay, is that you are a couple hours drive from all these amazing spots. But the thing about it is, especially if you're born and raised here, you don't take advantage of it. You don't take advantage of the opportunities around you just to see the natural beauty that is there. Now, I do know a couple of scientists out here who, if you want it, will teach you geology about where you're looking at, or teach you the animals about where you're looking at, or even the plants of where you're going. Maybe I should make a group to do that. Like if you're interested, you want to learn about the geology, or you want to learn about the plants or the animals that you're seeing, there's some great naturalists, some great biologists and geologists that are right here at UC Berkeley and surrounding areas who could just go. There's just awesome stuff. I see a message. I don't want to be missing out. So make sure that you take that opportunity to, hit me up or hit up the people you know in science. Trust me, they want to tell you their story. They want you to know about what they're doing and how they do it. So let's see. Ooh, I had this one message about the controversy of being in science, especially being a person of color in science. Hey, Alana, I see you. Being a person in science, I've heard some horror stories, not just being a person, but being a woman in science. I've heard some horror stories. I personally have been very, very fortunate that my mentors in science have been African American women and men. So they are not just pushing the doors down, they are holding them open for the rest of us to go. However, I have met a young lady getting her PhD at a very prominent school, I'm not going to say, and she started an organization for people who felt left out. So minorities, women, people of LGBTQ. She did all of that. Hey, girl. She did all of that just to make sure people felt included, because she was the only African-American woman, or only African-American person, actually, who was in her lab. And when she started the group, which had a great turnout, and she never turned anyone away. So just because you wasn't a person of color, or you wasn't LGBTQ, or you wasn't a minority, or anything like that, she didn't turn you away. She just wanted you to feel included. But in doing that, her lab ousted her. Her lab said, oh, you created this group that excludes us, which was false, because they were Caucasian. And because they, for whatever reason, felt ousted, they decided to shun her. Stop talking to her, stop including her. Hey, Trina. And now she's still finishing up a PhD in a lab that doesn't want her there. All because she started a group to say, I want everyone to feel included at this very prominent school. I also know a physicist who's a little bit older than me, who really liked math. And she, in high school, had an assignment to interview people in the field she wanted to be in. And so she would know what it's like to do it. At that time, it was only men she could find. All the men told her she couldn't be a physicist because she was a woman. And when I tell you she's only slightly older than me, I mean slightly older than me. And that means within the last umpteen years, I'm not gonna say my age, there's still this divide saying women can't do science. And we have proven that wrong time and time again. And I just wanna say on that part, the people you have at the table is important. When you have at the table everyone who looks like you, then you're not going to get a perspective of the people you actually want to empower. You need to change the people who are sitting at your table. You need to hear the perspective of a different type of person who can share with you what's happening in their culture and their community. Without that, you are going to miss out on a lot of important information. So I was asked to let Trina know that we've already talked about bees, so you're gonna have to listen to earlier in the show to hear more about bees. That's not my doing, I'm just a messenger. Okay, but I was also asked, how do you contact me on social media? Well, you can contact me on social media super easy. Super easy. All my social media is the same. It is Cat Bobino. That is CATBOBINO. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat. You can find me on all the social medias just by typing in my name. I'm working on In the Know with Cat Bobino social media, so if you want to help me, just let me know. But other than that, I'm so easy to find, so easy to ask questions. But don't be a hater, okay? I just want to say, don't be a hater. Apparently, you've made it when you got random people hating on you, right? I had some videos made of me, don't go Googling it, but I had some videos made of me from my being on Genius with Stephen Hawking. Can you believe that? People made some haterade videos about me because I was on that show and they were talking about flat earth. Okay, if you believe in flat earth, fine. I don't care. You ain't got to include me in it. I didn't say anything about it. I think the earth is round, but that's just me. You know, that's what science tells me, and I choose to, listen to that science. But if you think the earth is flat, kudos to you. Do not make a YouTube video with me in it just because you think the earth is flat. I'm cool on that. Okay, thank you. So moving on, when I bring in diverse people in STEM, when I'm talking to different people, just be open-minded and be ready to listen, be ready to take in the information. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. We just want to share with you. We just want to be a part of the, cool people. We want you to know that there's some people out there who really are into comic books, that are into STEM. There's people who have sailed to different countries on their own sailboat, who also study scorpions for a living. There's people who are into travel, right? Who's all into education, all into different things. There are people who, I'm sorry, Rod, why? You want to come say hi to the people? No? Okay, that's cool. He does, but he's acting like he's super shy. That's all right. But so I'm not alone in the studio. I do want to shout out Martha, okay? Because Martha. Okay, all right, y'all want to interrupt the podcast? That's cool. So the two people, and I'm using the term lightly, two individuals who decided they wanted to stick their eyeballs into the live feed is James Rockefeller III, whose lovely studio I'm in and who made this amazing sign for me back there. And then also my boo thing, his name's Tavari. He don't never like to be on camera, so I don't even know why he put his eyeball in there, but that's cool, whatever. I think they just decided they wanted to have some fun. So if you want to say hi to them, don't. You can hit them up on their own stuff. They don't even know why they doing it. But anyway, I digress. So also, my friend Sean is here. I've known Sean since kindergarten, and he decided to actually show up to the live taping of the podcast. So I can't be mad at that. But who's laughing? Don't be laughing at that. But I want you guys to make sure that you tune in every week. I want you to be able to join us, talk to us. I want you to be able to ask questions. I want you to talk to the people in science, technology, engineering, math. I want you to realize how much they're just like you and I, that there's no difference. Oh, hey, Sean, Brianna said, what's up? And I want you to realize that they're just like you and me. They come from different backgrounds. They didn't have a linear shot when it came to science, tech, engineering, math. They went up, they went down, they went sideways, they went to the left, to the right. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't have a linear path when it comes to their career, any career. Whether you're doing that or you are doing something else, most people don't just say, I'm going to go to school for this, go to school for it, and do it for the rest of their lives. Like, that's not majority of people. So I think I was asked to let you know that She Blinded Me with Science is what I'm trying to be a part of, because I am changing the image of scientists. So we are not cookie cutter old white dudes. There is some diversity there. There are women there. There are people who are from all walks of life when it comes to STEM. So we're changing that image here at In the Know with Kat Bobino. And I wanted to shout out Martha. Let me give y'all a good look. Martha did my makeup tonight. She does a wonderful job. If you're ever looking for a great makeup artist, then you need to hit up Martha. You need her information, let me know, because I don't think y'all really checking it out because it's nice. Let's see. Trina asked, Do you know of any good STEM programs for youth ages 12 to 18? Well, there are some good programs. There's Green Scholars out in, I think it's San Jose or East Palo Alto. They are a wonderful group that does STEM that are very parent oriented. So if you do Green Scholars as a parent, you have to be involved. I'm also on the board for a organization called Self Esteem. That's right here in Oakland, California, and it's geared to girls 7 to 17. They have a 1 week free summer camp for the ladies that you can do. And they have a program pretty much every month that's also free. So I'm gonna shout them out. There is Next Gen Girls. That's another girls program. There's another one that's for boys that does coding. There's Black Girls Code. There's a lot of programs actually in the East Bay. If you just Google STEM programs for youth, they'll pop up. There's one through UC Berkeley. I think it's called SMASH program. I'm not 100% sure what the title of it is. And I think that, if you just Google it, there's so many different programs that's out there. And a lot of them are for the free. So we need to take advantage of this because you never know. I mean, when I was a kid, I did math Olympics. Yeah, math Olympics in elementary. My parents still have the picture. Do not ask me to see that photo because I'm not going to show you. But yeah, I did math Olympics when I was in elementary. I was a part of the GATE program. I don't know if GATE's still around. That was Gifted and Talented Education. Basically, my mom made sure I was in school even in the summer. So I don't think I had a for real summer break until high school. Yeah. Oh, there's NYLF. That's a good one. It's called National Youth Leadership Forum. I did one on medicine. Through them, I was able to go to China and Australia. Oh, Brianna said she has pics from back then. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know if we want to see that. I don't. But yeah, there's a million programs out there. What's the game? Oh, okay. So I am working on an event right now, actually, that hopefully you guys will be able to see. I've done a couple of speaking engagements through UC Berkeley and through, thank you, Brianna. Don't do that to us. But yeah, I've done some speaking engagements through UC Berkeley, through, I did an episode on KQED about science. I did one through the National Black Leadership Forum a couple of times. And most of my events talking about getting our girls or our youth, mostly our girls though, more interested in science because our girls tend to lose interest in science or STEM right around elementary. And it's not because they don't know it. It's not because they're not smart enough. It's actually they stop raising their hands because teachers sometimes, not saying all teachers, but teachers will say, let's give the boys a chance or something like that. And girls start to stop lifting their hands. They stop doing what they're supposed to do. And they actually get into older elementary, young middle school, being more in the clique. And so they're in a clique now, and it's not cool to be smart, and it's more cool to look a certain way because that's what America is saying that girls are supposed to do in middle school for whatever reason. They're saying middle school girls need to have fake nails, fake hair, saying, the newest clothes. I didn't have any of that. I'm still working on that this age, and somewhere we lost what was important with our youth. Is it important for our youth to look good, to have the new Jordans, to wear Victoria's Secret in middle school? Because I've seen it at some of our middle school. And, I have to question the parents when it comes to that because they can't buy it. They don't have a job. So why is your kids walking around with Jordans, but they got C's and D's on their report card? Why are they talking about, I got this new perfume from Victoria's Secret, but they can't read? Like, for real. Hey, Adamika. Hey, James. I see y'all. But yeah, we've lost our priorities. We've lost what's important. We have lost what we need to push them to. And unfortunately, a lot of times we push them towards entertainment or sports. And that's it. We say, oh, my son's going to be the next football player. My daughter is going to be the next singer. You know how many people I've had push me to go and watch their kids sing or watch their kids dance or watch their kids game? Which, I mean, I don't mind going or a cheerleading thing, but I don't see them pushing their education. I don't see them saying, hey, my kid's about to be on a debate team or my kid's about to do the math Olympics or something like that. Why we don't highlight education in our youth? Why don't we say that I want you to be the next Neil deGrasse Tyson? You know, why you can't be the next Bill Nye? And one of the things when it comes with women is we have Bill Nye. We have Bill Nye, we have Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we had Stephen Hawking. We have all these men to look up to when it came to STEM. But where's the women? Where are the ladies for our daughters to look up to? You know, if you really ask who their role model is it someone in sports or entertainment? Why is it not someone who is in engineering? Or why can't it be a CEO? I mean, really think about it as a parent. Can you name a CEO that looks like you? Can you name a scientist or an engineer or a tech or a math person who looks like you, who your child can look up to? Because there's a lot of them out there. Black, white, green, orange, purple. There's a lot of them out there. And we just need to change that perspective, change the way we're talking to them. You know, and I'm going to end on this or start to close out on this. But one of the things that I've done that's outside of science is financial literacy. And it amazes me how many people, Brianna said, yes, you can. Okay, then, girl. All right. But financial literacy, there's a lot of adults who don't understand credit score, who don't understand their credit report, who don't understand how to get a loan, how to buy a house, how to do any of this stuff. And I mean, I was one of them too at one point, but I took the time and I learned about it. And if the parents don't know, the kids definitely don't know. And I'm gonna just say like this, one of the things we mess up is not opening up our financials to our kids and showing them what a budget is, how to save money, how to, you know, save for the future, how to make sure the bills are paid, you know, because at 18, you know they're going to get bombarded with credit cards. You know they're going to get bombarded with all of this extra mail that they didn't get before they were 18. And if they don't understand it, then they're going to go into severe debt. And going back to our education, if you're not teaching your kids how to get scholarships, how to, you know, fundraise or how to pay for college, you have students who are graduating after hopefully like 5-6 years, because for whatever reason it's 5-6 years now to get an undergrad, because it was 4 when I went. But you have all these kids graduating with severe debt, and they're in a hole they cannot get out of. So instead of looking for that football scholarship, why don't you look for that academic scholarship? There's so many out there. I was very blessed to go to Stillman College on a full academic scholarship. They exist. They may not even be at the school that you thought you was going to go to, but it might be the school that you need to go to, right? So, again, my name is Kat Bobino. You're watching In the Know with Kat Bobino or listening to me on a podcast. I am here because I am blinding you with science, and I am changing the way we are seen in the media world. Again, I want to shout out BJTV, Where Media Meets, Pharaoh Films, and History in the Making. I want to shout out James, who just put the peace sign there for whatever reason. I want to thank my biggest fan, Tavari, in the room, who just helps me with so much. And if you want to know, I'm going to shout out someone else too, actually. It was the person who I did my podcast with before. Her name is DJ. She does all these amazing things when it comes to science, hands-on projects. So you guys need to learn about her. I'm just going to shout her out again. And I'm going to shout out Steve, who is my guest co-host. And he has this amazing comic book, digital comic book called Guardians of a Cure. And he is using real-life STEM science, and he is putting it in his characters. And he's teaching the youth all about science, tech, engineering, and math with his work. So if you want to be on the show, send me a message. If you know someone who wants to be on the show, send me a message. This is a podcast, so even though you're going to see my beautiful face, you can just call in. So you don't have to be right here in the East Bay. If you want to talk about what you do, how you do it, and how you can share it, just let me know, and you're just a phone call away, and you could be on in the know with Cat Bobino. So I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight, for sticking around, for listening, to being a part of the podcast, asking great questions. And until next time, we're going to be here same time, same place next week. I already have my guest lined up. We've got to come back and check her out. She's going to be amazing. So, all right, you guys, good night. You didn't hit it. It's still live.
She just gave me a smile and let me figure it out. She want to soul beat it.